Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to finish off the top of this part. So this is the surface here that we're going to be working on. We have already established datum A, we've established datum D, we've established the side opposite datum D, and we're going to work on the top. So the dimensions that we need to concern ourselves with is this 1 inch 375, which is plus or minus 5 shown in the tolerance block. And we need to concern ourselves with this parallel within 2 thousandths to datum A, which is the bottom of the part. So now let's go to the blackboard and talk about this. So at this point, we're going to take our part, we're going to put it up in the vise, this being the fixed jaw. We're going to take our part and we're going to put it on top of some very tall parallels. And we're going to put our part up on top of this. Again, another tall, thin parallel over here. And this is our moving jaw. This is the fixed one. Now, datum A on this part is now sitting down here on the bottom, and we're going to machine this surface off. We're going to take the part, put it up in the vise, tap it down with a soft hammer, and machine this surface. And we're looking for this to be parallel within 2 thousandths to datum A. And we're looking for this part to be 1.375 plus or minus 0.005 across that thickness. So let's put it in the middle now. So now we're going to take this part and set it. So now we're going to take this part, we're going to sit it on top of 2 parallels. These are 1 5/8, they're the tallest parallels we have. And we're going to sit our block, making sure that it's nice and clean, down on top of those parallels. Make sure the parallels are against each of the vise jaws. We're going to snug up on the vise a little bit. And we're going to strike this part down, making sure that that part comes in contact with the parallels all the way around. So we can't move this parallel in either direction. Snug down on the vise again. Sometimes it lifts up a little bit. Just make sure that everything's down tight. Now, when it's high in the vise, we're going to be parallel to the table. If it's low in the vise, we're getting the influence of the back jaw, so it'll be square to the jaw of the vise. So now let's go and take the cut. We're going to do the same thing that we've done in the past. We're going to measure the thickness of the part. Actually, this is pretty close because of what we did the first time around. And we're coming up 1 inch 383 thousandths. Well, I was going to use the carbide cutter, but because there's about 13 thousandths, I'm going to put the carbide cutter aside and I'm going to go right back to the end mill. Now we got 13 thousandths to come off of this part. So basically I'm going to take 2 finish cuts. The first finish cut so that I can measure it, and the second finish cut will be to the size. We're going to bring our cutter over to the part. I might have to drop the table down some. Always crank up on the table and lock it in the up position. We'll bring the cutter down to touch the part, back off the part, I'm going to crank up from here. I'm going to crank up 6 thousandths. Again, lock the table in the up direction. Make sure all your locks are in place. Make sure your speeds and your feeds are right. Always stop the machine before we do any measuring. We'll brush the chips away and we'll measure this surface. We can check it in 4 spots again. We are at 380 thousandths, so now we'll take another 5 thousandths off this part. Unlock the table, bring it up, lock it, turn the cutter on. Wait till the cutter comes completely off the part. Get the cutter out of the way and shut it off before we do anything to the part. We're going to check it before we take it off the machine. And I'm reading 372 thousandths. A little smaller than I want it to be, but it's in tolerance. We're going to deburr it. You see that little spot right there? A little high spot right there. So take that off. So now we have side A, side D. We were looking for that 1 inch 375 dimension. We want to make sure it's parallel, so we want to make sure it measures the same within 2 thousandths all the way around, and it does. So now we've got 4 sides of this done. The next thing that we want to concern ourselves with is side C, and that's this side.